Welcome back to the Robbins Business Show. Come on in, have a seat. We're going to talk about small business. Anything and everything about small business. We leave nothing out.
Nothing.
This is the...
We're fearless.
We're what?
Fearless.
Fearless, yeah, we're fearless. It's the Robbins Business Show. It's all about developing your very best business ideas. And we're talking about the entrepreneurship thing. And we're continuing on to discussing what the entrepreneur thing is all about startups. I mean, the new business startup is by far the most riskiest thing of all. And but today we're going to talk about one of the most essential elements that exist out there. I'm Bill Fox, the co-host, but the other co-host, now you gotta pay attention to this guy because he is provocative, he is entertaining, and he is engaging. It's Coach Robbins.
Mr. Bill.
Coach.
Entertaining. Good.
Coach, we've done previous episode. We did a previous episode on recognizing, developing a decent, business startup idea.
An opportunity to, yeah.
And we've done, a couple of episodes on sorting out whether a new idea is worthy or worthwhile and
Viable,
so
forth.
Yeah. And we've said, okay, you have in fact discovered a good idea. Congratulations.
Right.
Now you got to take action. But there's a step in between from the idea, the light bulb going on, the great idea, and before you get serious and take action.
And spend money.
And spend money. And that's, we're going to talk about that right now,
Yep.
which is developing a business model,
Right.
so-called effective business models.
Right.
And we're following along the entrepreneurship discussion by Bruce Behringer and Dwayne Ireland. And we want to ask you, Coach, though, this business, the thing I'm asking you about business model, that's the current lingo.
Yeah.
I mean, it used to be called a business plan, and I said, okay, I got that.
Yeah.
But now it's a business model. What is that?
Let me give you my definition of a business model, the quick one. How are we going to make money, right? And what the business model is really about, it's strategic thinking. It's strategic planning, I should say. And the question you need to ask yourself is threefold. How do we plan to create value? How do we plan to deliver that value to a segment or segments of the market? Remember STP, segment target position.
Yeah.
And how are we going to capture that value for us, the company? So how do we deliver, how do we create some value that somebody's willing to give us money for, right? How do we actually get this into the hands of people who will give us the money? How do we capture that value
Right.
after we've delivered it to them? Because your idea is to make money.
Right.
Just that simple.
Also, this plan, create, capture value to stakeholder. The word stakeholder.
Yeah, that's a broad term, yeah.
That
And a
is
good term.
that's to broaden your horizon.
Right.
That you're not doing this new business startup strictly for yourself,
Right.
or your business partners, or for the banker or somebody. Stakeholders is a lot of people with an interest.
Yeah.
Either intellectual
Right.
or money interest
Monetarily
or whatever, some relationship
Socially. Yeah.
that you ought to broaden your eyesight.
See, you gave me this board here like 6 shows ago, and I have never written anything on it. Oh no, wait a minute! I did draw the
No,
pizza.
the last time you were.
Well, I'm going to write something on it now.
Okay.
Stakeholders. So certainly, the owners of the business, they're stakeholders.
Yeah.
Well, how about the employees? Are they stakeholders? You're
Yeah.
darn right they are.
Yeah.
Well, how about the people who are risking the money, either the bank
Yeah.
or the angel investors?
Right.
By the way, I tell my students all the time, don't expect to read what I write. You better hear what I write, because I write terrible, all right? And how about the community at large, you know, where you live? What is the value you bring? So on and on and on it goes. Everybody who has a stake in the success of the business is considered a stakeholder, not just stockholders, not just owners of the company.
So the message is broaden your horizon.
Yeah,
when
broaden
you're-
your horizon.
When you're thinking about your business.
Exactly. Who are all of the potential stakeholders for your business?
And we also mentioned the business model, the business plan, the business model.
Yeah.
We're developing we're developing after the feasibility, or, you know, after
Yeah.
we decided we had a good idea.
Yeah.
But before business operations begin.
Before execution, and I don't mean execution, right?
And so why are we doing this business model? Why don't we just start making cupcakes or pizza pies? Why are we doing this business model?
We're doing the business model because, first of all, we're passionate about what it is we're going to bring to the marketplace. We feel it's a little different, hopefully, and we'll talk about different strategies that you can use shortly. And we're doing it to deliver value to the marketplace. We want to create value, deliver value, capture value. It always comes down to those three.
Short term and long term.
Short term, you got to make money pretty quickly. You can't, you know, have a business. You can't be Jeff Bezos, quite frankly, and lose money for 10 years while you're building a thing up, because he had access to plenty of money. And that worked out pretty well for him. But usually small business, you know, is coming in on a kind of a budget, a shoestring budget, and they've got to be making money fairly quickly out of the chute, you know, to survive in the short term and have a long-term plan for long-term success. Jack Welch used to say, it's great that you've got a great long-term plan, but we eat now, okay? So this company has to make money now. It can't invest everything it makes for the future. We have to deliver some value now.
But I mean, this is the thing. I mean, if you think business is starting a business is so simple, then everybody would succeed.
Yeah.
I mean, and part of the deal of this business deal of making business a success is that you have developed an ability to see short term what to put bread on the table and to
Right.
pay the light bill today.
Pay the bills.
But you also have a longer term
Right.
a vision, a longer term plan,
Yeah, sustainability.
sustainability.
Right.
Thank
How am
you.
I going to sustain this business model?
Now, Coach, you know, there's a couple of different major categories of business plans.
Yep.
Okay, as a standard and a disruptive. That's
Yep.
an interesting idea. What are we talking about here? What's the deal?
Well, a standard business model, it already exists out there. A restaurant, another restaurant in town, a standard business model. I mean, there are other restaurants in town, and we'll break some of those down in future slides. But disruptive means that I've got an idea that's totally different. It doesn't fit what's already out there. It's better than the way somebody's solving their problem, and it's truly creative destruction, we call it, that's going to come into the marketplace. And potentially those are the things that are huge potential. The disruptiveness, since we're talking about Jeff Bezos of Amazon, I mean, talk about disruptive. They not only started out disrupting the book market by basically putting Borders out of business. You know, Barnes & Noble is the only one brick and mortar of any major size now,
Right.
and the rest of it is a fragmented industry, little bookstores
And now
everywhere.
Sears and Roebuck is out there.
And now they're getting disrupted by Amazon and Walmart too, because they don't know where they're what we call stuck in the middle. They don't know who they are anymore.
I've talked to you about this before. You know, actually, our favorite author, Peter Drucker, who's
Yeah.
an icon in the business industry.
You bet.
Icon, Peter Drucker, who's the first real bona fide thinker of the business scene. You know. Anyway, this entrepreneurship thing to him is this disruptive idea.
Yeah.
As that's true, bona fide entrepreneur starting a pizza shop down the
Yeah.
street. But you said that he's a little bit haughty, you know, for you a little.
I
bit
think he is,
high-minded. That starting
Yeah.
a restaurant or auto repair shop, anything is a risky business.
And therefore it's entrepreneurial, in my
Anyway,
opinion.
Maybe you're not Jeff Bezos and you're revolutionizing the industry with the
There are
power
very
of the
few of
internet.
them.
You know,
There are very, very few of them. But there are millions of those other entrepreneurial ventures, the restaurants, the retail shops, the little service folks, the lawyers, the doctors, you know, the Indian chiefs. No,
well, then we'll deal. You and I deal with the standard. Start with the standard
yeah,
business model
Right.
and a couple of ideas what that means. For instance, in advertising, auctions and brick and clicks.
Right.
What's that? What's that?
well,
all about?
advertising means the way that Google makes money, or the way that Facebook makes money, is by the ads that people place on there to capture the audience. These people have got thousands of people hitting their site every minute, right? And they get to advertise, they get revenue from advertisers who want to be speaking to those people. In today's world, you can tightly target. I mean, it is 1984 already, George Orwell's book, right?
Right.
That they know an awful lot about us. And I mean, I'll go online and I'll look up a sandwich, not sandwich, a sandwich, a new
Golf club.
golf club. And the next thing I know, I'm on Facebook or I'm Googling something, and I Google an article about Pavarotti or whatever, and right in the middle of the ad, there's an ad for the golf club that I was thinking about, but I didn't order. So they're getting paid for people advertising on their site. So that's one way you make money. Auction.
But it is an advertising business. So.
They're in the advertising business. That's it. They gather names, data, information, and they sell sell those lists of names to people for money, which is advertising.
So it's the internet technology is
Exactly.
the difference.
Exactly.
Same for auctions. Auctioning something is as old as mankind itself.
Absolutely. I mean, eBay, you put something on eBay. I've got people buying stuff on eBay and then putting it back on eBay at higher prices and selling it. Go figure.
Yeah.
I don't know where the value is in that, but they're actually doing it. Or they go around to houses that are, being closed up or liquidated, estate sales. They buy stuff, they put it on eBay, they make money. They're doing very well. So auction is another way. Auction income, capturing either, a profit or percentage of a sale. That's a way you make money too.
Another standard approach, a standard business model would be bricks and clicks. What's that?
Bricks and clicks, of course, is bricks and mortar with the clicks along the line, because people can't just have a retail store. I mean, even the small places have to be found, a little retail store in downtown, wherever. They've got a store, they pay rent, they've got people working, they've got inventory on the shelf, but they also have a website that you can go to and order, and Barnes & Noble is a perfect example. You can walk into Barnes & Noble, get a cup of coffee, which I do quite regularly because of being a dinosaur. I still like to read my books, in my hand, because I rip pages out and I highlight them and I make a mess of them.
So Google and Facebook, you can't walk into a storefront on Main Street.
There is none.
You can click only.
Only click.
But Apple, there is an Apple store.
Well, Apple is now putting stores everywhere. There's one in the malls.
Walk in.
Walk-in. Yep.
Brick and mortar.
Right. Or you can just go online and order things, whereas Dell, they're strictly online. Dell is just a strictly online.
There's also a standard business models, Coach. There's franchises and freemiums.
I love that one.
Give us the news on
Well,
that.
franchises, everybody knows what a franchise is. The McDonald's are franchise. The Papa, what's his name? Rafa or whatever the heck his name
Papa
is.
John?
No, Papa John, yeah, that's his name. I mean, those are franchises where you go out and you buy the right to use a branded name, Panera Bread, which is a good one. I've never heard of 24-hour fitness, obviously, but those are franchises, and you can buy their business model. Literally, you do it their way. Kentucky Fried Chicken is a franchise. You can buy a KFC, and the Colonel said it's my way or the highway, but that's what you're buying is a business model, how they make money. So franchises everybody's aware of. Now, freemium.
What's this freemium thing?
Freemium is fun. Dropbox, Pandora, those type of things are freemium. My favorite freemium is actually Vistaprint. Vistaprint, you can go to and you can get 100 free business cards. No charge. I mean, free, completely free. And my wife, when I think you know this, no laughing, she's a psychotherapist. It happens all the time. I tell my students, I'm going to tell you something, and if you laugh at me, your grades are going down. I can't do anything to him. So when she started her private practice, the first thing we had her do was put up a website for sure. But she went to Vistaprint, and she came home, and she said, oh my God, look at all this stuff I got for free at Vistaprint. I've got business cards, I've got brochures, I've got buttons, I've got pens. I said, wait a minute, free? Well, you could upgrade. I said, how much money did you spend for all this free stuff you got by upgrading? Only $180, but it was basically free. Of course it was basically free. If you took the 100 business cards, on the back it said Vistaprint. You were actually became a salesperson for Vistaprint. If you wanted to get their name off the back, you actually had to pay for them, right? So, I mean, the freemium, that's another business model, meaning how do we generate revenue?
Another, we're still talking about standard business models, or so-called standard.
Yep.
There's simply low cost. I mean, being the low-cost provider, so to speak. There's, manufacturing plus retail.
Yep.
Make and sell.
Right.
And there's something called peer-to-peer. Tell us what's going on
Well,
here.
the first one is low cost. Everybody's familiar with Walmart. The low price always. It's printed right on their building. The sign right on their building says. And if you want to sell to Walmart, you will get a lot of volume, but they will beat the heck out of you on the buying price. They buy low, they sell low, and they flat out just tell you, we beat everybody's price. You know, we're the cheapest in town for the same thing. You'd pay more money at Bradley's. Well, they're gone, aren't they? Or Zayre's. Well, they're gone. And Kmart, they're about to go too. And Sears, they're on the way out. And Walmart is just beating the heck out of all these people. And so Walmart is low price. Now Southwest Airlines, of course, they initiated in the airline industry, I don't know, 30, 40 years ago, the low price airline. But they didn't give you a rubber chicken luncheon. You know, they cut all that stuff out. The only thing you got from Southwest Airlines when you flew with them for $49 is nuts. That's all you got. You got a basic seat, and they had their planes. They knew if their planes were 75% full, they were making money. And those planes were leaving and turning around in 15 minutes because Herb Kelleher knows he makes money when his airplane's in the air, not when it's sitting at the gate. So they churn those people. Don't give you anything but
No reservations.
No reservation. Walk in, boom, check in the airline, boom, and off you go. Right. And nothing. No fancy frills. And now there's an even lower cost airline, I forget the name of it. And it's just about the price. I want to get from here to there, and just give me the lowest price I can get.
But if you want to be the low cost producer, you better be good at it.
You better be very efficient.
Because it's like the old the Western movies. There's always a faster gun.
That's right.
But you better somehow
figure out how to
stay as the faster gun.
Yeah.
If you're a low cost producer.
Absolutely.
That's not simple.
Yep.
Okay, manufacturing / retail.
Yeah, this is just vertical integration. Ford started it 100 years ago by buying the rubber trees and the forests and the wood and the chassis builders, and GM did the same thing. You got Fitbit that makes the thing, but they also sell the thing to you. Retail stores, they have their own, they have others. Tesla has they don't have auto dealers, you know, like the Nissan and the Toyota. Those are separate companies. Tesla owns the retail location where you can actually go and drive a Tesla car. They make them. They have the brick and mortar places where you can go and actually test drive a car.
So they control the whole process.
They control the entire process from the manufacturing to the delivery to the customer, the collection of the final money from the customer.
Okay, now what about this peer-to-peer? Call it a standard business.
Well, the two that jump
peer-to-peer. What is that?
That's the Airbnb. All they are is a connector, and Uber. You want to stay someplace in Marco Island, Florida, and you go online and you find somebody who has a house that's willing to rent you a room, right, for a night or 2 or 3. It's kind of like a mini B&B. And so peer-to-peer, meaning I want to go there, they want to rent the room, Airbnb connects us, and they get a commission out of it. And Uber's the same thing. I want a ride, I want to get a taxi to go downtown Boston, and I live outside of Boston. Well, geez, I drive a car in town, and I can't even park the darn thing. And if I call for a cab, God knows when I'm going to get it, because the cabs are usually just running around the airports and in the downtown area. Well, I can call Uber, and they'll have a local person who's an approved driver pick me up in his Chevy.
With his or her own car.
With his or her own car, and take me downtown for very quickly, tell me when they're going to be there. They'll be here in 15 minutes. They pick me up. They take me downtown. I just acted inadvertently in Newport while I was on vacation as an Uber driver. I was sitting over on Cliff Walk, and this gentleman and lady came over to me and said, "Are you my Uber driver?" I said, "No, I'm not." And they started to walk away. I said, "Well, excuse me, I'm leaving now. Where are you going? Can I give you a lift?" And they said, "Yeah, we're going back to Salve Regina, the college, where we left our car." And I said, "Well, come on, get in. I'll scoot that way, and then I'll cut back to my place at Ocean Cliff." And so I went a little bit out of my way just to drop them off, not very far, just to do them a favor. And I got back to my place, my vacation spot, and when I grabbed my bundle of groceries, under it was $20. The guy slipped $20 under it. So upstairs to my wife, I said, "I'm an unofficial Uber driver." I did the guy a favor, and he was so appreciative. He threw $20 under there. So that's peer-to-peer.
Additional standard models, examples of that, razor blade idea.
Yeah.
And subscriptions. And ordinary retailers.
Retail, yeah. Razor blades, it literally comes from Gillette, because the CEO of Gillette told me right to my face, "I'll give you the handle. I make all my money selling you all the blades. Those are the things you replace every few days, you know." So he said, "If the handle costs us $10, I'll sell them for $9. And charge an extra $1 for the blades, because I know the blades are what you're going to continue to use, and you got to get my blades to fit that handle." You know, it's the same thing with printers. They'll give you the printer cheap. It's the darn ink that costs you more than the darn printer, practically.
Boy, that's for
and
sure.
that's what you're using up on a regular basis, so you're kind of a locked-in customer. Same thing with the games. The console will give you the game, you know, the console, because you got to download the games, and that's where the money's being made.
And retailers, Amazon, Whole Foods.
Yeah, I mean, those are obvious. Amazon is getting into the retail game online. Whole Foods, of course, they bought Whole Foods. They're that's a Stop and Shop competitor. It's it's a supermarket.
So those still in the arena of standard plans.
Yeah.
But then there's disruptive.
Right.
The industry changers.
Yeah.
Change the game, change the model. We start off a disruptor, right, with the one you mentioned earlier, direct-to-consumer computers at Dell.
Yeah, and Dell started out before the internet. You know, he was in his dorm room in Texas fixing computers, and decided he could just assemble them pretty easily himself. And his first business model, which was disruptive at the time, was just call an 800 number. We'll have a representative take the exact specs you want for hard drive and speed and everything that all the bells and whistles and only the features you're going to use, and we'll ship it to you in 48 hours or whatever. And of course, that was and the internet played right into, what he did. Now you just go online, pick out your computer, push a button, boom, out it comes.
That sounds so perfectly normal today. We just, we talk about it offhand. But you and I still remember when computers were really coming on the market for retail customers.
Late 90s.
You had to go to a store. You had to go to a dealer, distributor, in order to get one.
Mm-hmm.
So Dell said, cut out.
Cut out the middleman.
Axed out the middle guy.
Well, they axed out Circuit City, did they not?
Yeah,
Best Buy, of course, is still surviving, but barely. But Circuit City, they were huge at one time, and you went to Circuit City and you bought your your laptop or your tower computer, because back then with the big screen on your desk, now everything's laptops, of course.
Another disruptor market game changer, online text ads on search engines. Online text ads on search engines. What
Well,
are we talking about
obviously search engines, Yahoo, Google. If you go back to the late 90s, there were, I think the very first search engine that I logged into was something called Mosaic back in the late 90s, quite frankly. There was no Google. I think Yahoo came along a little later, and there were like a whole bunch of little search engines that were online, but Google came out and just disrupted them all with better algorithms. And they know who we are. They know that I looked at that sand wedge, and then I could look up Abraham Lincoln. What the hell's he got to do with a sand wedge? Nothing. But as I'm reading the article, they're stuck right in the article, and I have to scroll beyond it. Is a picture of the wedge I was just looking at. Click here, and it'll be yours in 24 hours.
Other ideas are complete disruptors, software as a service.
Yep.
Or a cloud-based ride service. Well, we're back to
Uber and Lyft with that, and that's peer-to-peer, but it's all cloud-based.
But software as a service.
And Salesforce.com is customer relationship management software that a lot of companies use. It's one of the better ones. It's not cheap, so you got to have a good-sized company to use it. But there are dozens and dozens of CRM, customer relationship management software out there, and that's a very good one. But all it is, what are you buying? You're buying the ability to go in and capture and aggregate information about your customers, so you can do a better job of selling them.
Right. You and I are gonna do two episodes.
Right.
On this subject, on this business model.
It's a broad
thing.
subject. There's a lot to it.
And so this is the introductory part, but we got to step into, the guts of the model, of the business model or business plan.
Right.
And so forth next time. So we will see you guys next time. This is Fox Robbins. We are out there on YouTube. For your convenience, you can watch episodes anytime you please, day or night, on YouTube. Go to YouTube. At the search box, just write a single word, FOXROBBINS, Fox Robbins, and click on that, and there's a library. Pick and choose any episodes of Fox Robbins that you like that would be helpful or interesting to you. And again, we will see you guys next time.